Hello, this is Danny Raymond, the voice behind Ray's Guide. It's time for Drake Defense Con, but I first have to backtrack and issue some corrections to things I said just a couple days ago. Not because they were wrong then, but they are wrong now. Because apparently response to a couple of ships was not as enthusiastic as CIG had hoped, and so they have been buffed in the hope of greater enthusiasm during the finale days. The first is that they doubled the number of missiles on the Firebird from 12 to 24. This now means that the Shrike and the Firebird have the same number of Size 3 missiles. The Shrike is cheaper, but it is a missiles-only bird, and that will mean that at close range you are in trouble. They also upped the signature reduction on the Firebird to match those of other stealth craft. So, both in appearance and function, the Firebird can be summed up as the budget-friendly Eclipse. The second change was that the Retaliators have had all their turrets upgraded to Size 3 laser repeaters. So my prior characterization of the base Retaliator as a slow, sluggish platform for 5 unimpressive man turrets needs to be upgraded to a slow, sluggish platform for 5 respectable man turrets. And frankly, at 160 war bond, that is a pretty good value proposition. That can be summed up as the budget-friendly Hammerhead. As to my comparison of the Freighterator with the Corsair as a cargo-capable combat ship in the 60 to 80 SCU range, on firepower alone I would give it to the Retaliator, but based on crew size and operational flexibility, particularly the ability to fit a Nursa, I'd still give the nod to the Corsair. Which brings us back to Drake days, and the main subject of the Ironclad. First, let's get to the specifics that we've all been waiting for. There is the Ironclad, which is categorized as an armored cargo ship. Armored and Drake in the same sentence? Strange indeed. And the Ironclad Assault, which is categorized as a heavy assault ship. First of all, whenever you are buying a concept ship, the first place to look at is the loaner matrix, because that is what you will be flying, perhaps for a long time. The loaner for both ships is a Caterpillar, which has a Warpon upgrade of $300 new money and a store credit upgrade of $330. So the Ironclad is not a ship to buy the concept because the loaner is better, which sometimes is the case. Now the specs. The Ironclad standard is 1,536 SCU of main deck cargo space accessible from a front ramp or a retractable roof, plus a few SCU in what is called secured storage, essentially a locked room. It has a side pilot module that is described as being a detachable lifeboat, a feature that Caterpillar owners have for a long time been waiting for. There is also an operations bridge overlooking the cargo deck, and there is a lot of cargo operations to be done, with 3 Size 2 tractor beams. Armaments are a single Size 5-man turret, a Size 3-man turret, and a pair of Size 3 remote turrets that I'm going to presume are controlled from that operations bridge. Also, quite tellingly, a turret inside the cargo bay itself, but more on that later. The price for the Ironclad cargo is $400 war bond new money, $450 with store credit. And considering that the Hercules C2 is $370 when offered as war bond and $400 store credit, I can imagine that when the Ironclad does go flyable, the jump in price will be substantial. But when will that be? We know that CIG has said they're going to be first marching through their backlog of RSI ships before moving to, as they term it, another manufacturer, which might be Drake, but it might also be the Merchantman or Anvil or Aegis. Get used to that Caterpillar loaner. So let's move to that heavy landing ship, the Ironclad Assault. It is $65 extra for the war bond version, $465 instead of $400, and $75 more using store credit, $525 instead of $450. Now, first, what do you give up for that? Yes, there are give-ups. You give up those 3 tractor beams. You lose 384 SCU of cargo. That's not insignificant. But what did that extra volume go to since the exterior envelope is the same? What you get apparently are some support spaces, a component fabrication space, and a rearm and refuel garage. Yes, we are talking genuine pocket carrier vibes here, and not just, well, maybe you could use it for that. The Size 5 man turret is upgraded to quad guns. The 2 Size 3 remote turrets are also upgraded to quad guns, and there is an additional Size 3 remote turret, I'm presuming where those tractor beams were. You also get a bunch of dropship seats, although the precise number is not given. So very much like the Hercules line of ships, the more expensive one is not necessarily better depending on how you want to use it. If you are seeing this mostly as a cargo ship, then the standard Ironclad, just like the C2, is a far better choice on top of the fact that it is cheaper. But what if you only sometimes want to use it as an assault ship? I'd still say get the base Ironclad. On the occasions when you need an assault ship, your friends might have something, I don't know, maybe a Retaliator, that could get you the extra punch, and the more cargo space also means more vehicle space. For things like, let's say, a medical rover. Note that there's no medical facilities on the Ironclad without one. So when the Ironclad was teased on Tuesday, many folks presumed that Hercules owners would be melting them en masse. Should you? I mean, apart from the fact it would mean for a considerable future downgrading your cargo and vehicle carrying capacity to a Caterpillar. Remember that the adage is if it looks like a brick, it will fly like a brick. And without question, the Ironclad looks like a brick. So if you prize getting into and out of locations nimbly, the Hercules will still be your favorite. But if you simply must have the biggest cargo capacity in a ship that isn't constrained to cargo hubs, then the Ironclad is it. But then there is the thing about Drake. You see, the image all along of Drake has been dual-use ships. And with Drake, dual use does not mean military and civilian, it means legal and criminal. But in the Inside Star Citizen, they made no mention of the criminal side of the Ironclad. No, they, just like Drake, they don't say the quiet part out loud. They just talked about cargo operations in space and, well...
Say no more, know what I mean? Nudge, nudge.
Wait, do I actually have to say it? Really? Okay. The Drake Ironclad is the answer to a question that most likely you haven't asked yet. And that is, what ship do you use to loot the Hull C you've just pirated? Remember, the Hull C contains only 32 SCU containers, and the Caterpillar completely sucks at handling 32 SCU containers. The Hercules is a little bit better, but does need smaller containers to reach its full capacity. But the Ironclad, look at that big wide deck space for layering up those 32 SCU containers pulled in with those 3 tractor beams. So yes, if you are a Hull C owner, you should be concerned about the Ironclad. Not because it will be taking your business, but that they will taking your business. But you might think the Ironclad only has half the capacity of the Hull C. Or at least the official internal cargo capacity is that. Who says you can't just leave the roof doors open and keep stacking up the containers, like this? Sure, it would handle horribly, but handling horribly was already presumed, right? They said the Ironclad was a mix of internal and external cargo. If you can't stack them up above the roof, then what's the external part of that statement? So is the Ironclad only a piracy ship for other huge cargo ships? No, it has something quite special also for the small ships.
Good, that's good. A nod's as good as a wink to a blind bat.
Wait, do I actually have to show you? Do I? Okay, here goes. It's the small ship swallowing ship for swallowing small ships. Based on its SCU capacity, I expect that pretty much anything in the small category, and even some of the medium category ships, can be just pulled in whole by those 3 size 2 tractor beams. And if you're thinking, haha, just like the movies, I'll sneak aboard and sabotage them before making my escape. No, you will be mowed down by flanking fire from 2 shooting galleries, plus there's a size 2 turret literally pointed point blank at your hull. Nobody puts a turret inside a cargo bay unless they want to be ready for the cargo fighting back.
Know what I mean? Nudge, nudge, know what I mean? Say no more.
So, for the pirate org that actually wants to become rich from piracy and not simply having fun killing other players, then the Ironclad and the Reclaimer will be your 2 tools for turning piracy into actual credits. But then what about the Caterpillar? It suffers from all the brickishness of the Ironclad, but none of the cargo capacity or flexibility. You can't even really call it a budget-friendly Ironclad because that title will eventually belong to the Liberator. No, the ultimate redemption of the Caterpillar will come eventually from modularity. In the meantime, it will be the way for Ironclad owners to be constantly reminded of how much better their eventual ship will be. Now for an update on our giveaways, we have a special membership to help cover my travel costs to have the channel give live CitizenCon coverage from Manchester with its own giveaway to a whole seat. Plus the regular Roll the Channel giveaways for giving some lucky player, the Zippy Zazzy Zaftig Zephyr, the Zeus 2 Cargo, and the marvelous multiplayer, multi-use mining meta, the Arasta. One entry per video, just be a member for automatic entry, or subscribe and comment with the secret word. And the secret word for this video is the number of SCU that the standard Ironclad can hold. Fly safe, keep it real, I'll see you in the verse. This is Daniel Raymond for Ray's Guide.
Oh, say no more, say no more, say no more, Pearly, say no more. Know what I mean? Say no more.